My name is Linda Vera. I work in the operative team of CLAC in resilience, and we are very happy to be able to greet you, all of you that are with us in this presentation and this interview on honey and the bees. Why are they so important for us and in agriculture? We will hear a little bit about it. We would like to get close to you so we can interact. And we will have a couple of questions to see how much we know about honey. Today is the International Day of Bees, but we know they produce also a very important food that has a very important impact in our lives. So we want to test how much we know about honey, the bees, in order to widen our knowledge and empathy. So the first question, these curious questions is, the honey that crystallizes, is it adulterated? True or false? Choose. And the second one, the grandmas are right. Honey with lemon is a natural remedy for the cold. So we'll see which one is the truth. Once you choose your options, you press the blue button and we will share the responses very soon. We can see, and we will be told by communications when we have these responses to know how much we know about bees and honey. Are we ready? And crystallized honey is adulterated. 21% says it is true and 79% says it's false. Crystallized honey is, the answer was false. And 21% that marked true. Now we know that. And then the second one, that the grandmas were right. We very few failed. It has been proven that honey and its derivatives improves the defenses, and it is a key, especially in this pandemic year that we're going through, how honey helps us protect our health and our defenses. So to continue this morning, I would like to welcome Xiomara Paredes, Executive Director of CLAC and the Directive of Small Producers of Fairtrade. Welcome, Xiomara, and happy Bees Day. Thank you, Linda. How wonderful that 100% answered that honey is such a good product inherited from our grandmas, said that if we had a cold, we should take some honey. Okay, the United Nations Assembly 3 years ago in 2017 that May 20th was going to be the World Day of the Bees, acknowledging these little insects for their hard work and contributing to pollination. A very good day. I am the Executive Director of CLAC, and I would like to welcome you to this session where we will present our positioning on honey, but also through the intervention of several experts in honey keeping, in beekeeping, I'm sorry. to whom we are very thankful for their participation and contribution with their knowledge, because we will learn more about the passionate world of beekeeping. So stay with us. It's going to be very interesting. I also would like to acknowledge the important role of the bees in our planet, and as a result, the beekeepers. At present, our membership has over 27 producing organizations in Latin America and the Caribbean. Although only 27 have as the main certified product honey, many of our organizations member also uh, diversify through beekeeping. So we would like to acknowledge this work from our beekeepers in the different countries. And in the integral vegetable gardens, we also have the honeycombs. And as we have in the screen, I wanted to talk a little bit about the honey network. Honey producers in Latin America and the Caribbean have acknowledged that it is important to group not only nationally but regionally. And it is also very important to have producing networks. Can we see a little bit from the previous one here? We can also see, besides having coffee, that is one of the most common, we also have honey. That is one of the oldest ones. And that is how we have over 5,000 beekeepers at least in 7 countries: Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and Uruguay, but also in El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica. The importance of being grouped as producers is because we can help our network and have an influence in the markets, in this case, for honey. As we commented, is one of the older one. In 1996, it started as the small beekeepers, a group of Latin America, and is called PAWAL. And this network has an operative committee integrated by the 3 areas with a representative of Mesoamerican and a president of the network to increase the international markets of honey and explore possibilities in the local markets are very important subjects. Now, I would like to give you this dynamic presentation, and hopefully you will join us to defend the bees. Thank you, Somara. You have shared a very important data, and we also would like to greet all the beekeepers that are members of CLAC. It is a very special day for them. And to continue hearing about honey bees and the challenge in future we have with them, we will have another round of questions before going to our panel of experts. Especially everything we can do for the bees. So the communications has given us the second round of questions. Close to 2/3 of the diet of human beings come from pollinized plants. Is it true or false? Please mark your option. And the second one, the honey of certified fair trade producers is genuine. And then you press the blue button when you have the right answer. And there we will see how much we know about the production of honey in Fairtrade, in the Fairtrade organization. Once we have the responses, you can write down the responses. You can give them to us. And they tell us from communications. The first one they say is true 100%. And there's a small percentage that has written false in the second one. Obviously, the first one is true. Part of our food comes from pollinized plants. And the second one is also true because we have a very rigorous standards that guarantee that the certificate is genuine. Where you see fair trade honey, that's the one we need to buy. There's where we need to get close as consumers. Thank you, public, for your participation. Hopefully this dynamic is going to help us to learn a little bit more about honey and bees. And now we would like to welcome our panelists that we invite, they turn on their cameras. If I can see them with their cameras on. Good morning, Mr. Munguía, Mr. Mondragón, and our honey producer, Mrs. Dalila. We hope she will also add herself, and we will know. There she is, Mrs. Tema. I have the great pleasure to present to you this morning Mr. Miguel Munguía, that is the president of section of CLAC, and he is also member of EDUCE. Mr. Mondragón, who's coordinator of the trained trainers in Beekeepers Association in University Mexico, and Dalila Gómez, I'm sorry, from Copiasuro, and participant in a very important project that we have that is called Honey for the Future, and is developed in Guatemala. Just a brief greeting. We start with Don Miguel. Thank you, Linda. Thank you to all of you. Today is a very important day for those of us that work with honey. It's a festive day. It is a day to share. So we're very happy to be here with you. Welcome. Don Luis, welcome.
Sí, buenos días, Linda.
Yeah,
Muchas
good
gracias
morning,
por la
Linda. Thank you very
invitación a
much for the
todos los
invitation.
compañeros, hermanos de la CLAC. Y hay
To
muchos,
all the colleagues from
nombres
CLAC,
conocidos que veo
and
yo
there's
en
a
la lista
many
de
known
participantes de diferentes
names that I
países con los que
see from
hemos
the different
colaborado
countries
en
that we have
Nicaragua, en
worked with
Guatemala, en
in
Argentina, incluso en
Guatemala,
Chile.
Argentina,
Y pues
in Chile.
felicitarlos a todos y
And
a todas precisamente
congratulate
por
you
este
all
día. Es un día de muchas
precisely for
celebraciones.
this
Estamos
day.
muy movidos, pasando de una
We
celebración, un
are
evento, una
strongly
plática,
moved
otra y demás. Y pues creo que incluso
from
extensivo a
one
todas las
meeting
semanas. Nosotros hemos
to
tenido
the other.
talleres desde el lunes, terminamos
And
mañana,
we've
pero hoy es
had
el día más
workshops
fuerte, ¿no? Un saludo
since
desde Chiapas, en México.
Monday, but this is the strongest day, and we finish tomorrow. Thank you very much to be with us. When Dalila is here, we'll wait. So I start with you, Don Luis. What we hear so much that scientists have said that the bees are one of the most important living beings that exist in the planet. Why do they EDUCE
Bueno,
scientists say that.
gracias. Bueno, pues sobra decir de que pues,
Thank
son
you.
los
Just to
investigadores o
say that
científicos
it
quien
is
han
the
declarado esto, ¿no? Yo creo que es
researchers and scientists who have
una
said this.
verdad que hay que
It is a
reconocer
truth
y
that
pues
needs
no
to
es
be
tan
acknowledged.
necesario tener fundamentos científicos para decir
And
la
it is not
importancia que tienen las abejas, ¿no?
necessary to have
Y yo
so
quiero hacer
much
énfasis que al decir abejas estamos hablando en plural. Y en
uh,
plural quiere decir
scientific
que no solamente existe apis
studies
mellifera como
to
abeja, sino que
recognize that
existen, al menos en
bees
México,
are
más de
so
2,000
important.
especies de
And
abejas.
when we talk about
Y el día de
bees,
hoy es
we say it
un
especially because
reconocimiento no
we have
solamente
so
a
many
apis, que mucha
different
gente y
species of
comúnmente incluso
bees, or
apicultores
we
o la
talk
gente,
about
los
apis
ciudadanos
also.
creen que solamente existe
And
una abeja. Abejas
citizens believe
existen de
there's
miles de
only
especies,
one
¿no? En
type of
México, les
bees,
digo,
but
existen
there's
más de 2,000
thousands of
especies
different species.
y es retribuir y reconocer el
It
papel de
is
todas
to
estas abejas, ¿no? En México
acknowledge
existe, por ejemplo,
the
la abeja maya, la
work done
melipona,
by
que es una
all
abeja
these
ancestral
bees,
desde
the
antes que llegaran a
Mayan
la abeja
bees,
europea
for example, before the
de
European
Europa.
bee
Y pues
came.
todas ellas contribuyen
And
y
they
son
all
importantes,
contribute
es un
and are
sello muy importante en el
important
sentido de la pluralidad, que no
in
solamente Apis, ¿no? Apis,
plurality,
claro, es la
not
más
only
conocida, la que
apis.
se
Apis
maneja
is
de
the best
norte a sur,
known,
de este a oeste, en todas partes del mundo, pero
is the
existen
most
muchas otras
widely
abejas que
managed,
también
but
es
there's
necesario
many other
reconocer, ¿no?
bees
Y
that is
bueno, obviamente,
necessary to
pues
acknowledge.
Apis,
And
por
obviously,
ser la abeja más
apis,
conocida,
because it is the
también la
most
que
widely
mayor,
known,
digamos,
is
cantidad
the
y
one that
número de
the
población existe en el
greatest
mundo, pues de alguna
population
forma tiene
has.
un efecto
And somehow it
impresionante e
has an
importante.
impressive
Salen a
and
trabajar de las 5
important
de la
effect.
mañana, se meten
They start
cuando
working at
oscurece,
5 o'clock in the
de una sola
morning
colmena sale un
until
ejército de
it
abejas
the
a
sun goes
trabajar en la
down, and
montaña
there's an
y esto hace
army
pues de
of
alguna
bees
manera
that
que
leaves a
la labor
beehive
de las
every
abejas
morning.
en cuanto a la polinización
And the work of
da el
pollination
origen a
that
la
bees
fecundación de las
do,
plantas sea una de los
that fertilize
de
plants,
los atributos más
is one
importantes
of the
de esta
most
abeja en
important
particular y además de que su
attributes of
anatomía
this bee.
está especializada porque tiene pelos
Besides
ramificados que
its
le ayudan a cachar el polen de
anatomy,
una flor y a
because it
transportarlo a
can
otra, que
catch
solamente visitan la flor de una especie y no se meten
pollen
con otra.
from
Entonces, esto
one
asegura la
flower and other, and
polinización
they just
que
work
sea entre
with
una sola
one
especie
flower,
y pues
and they make sure they only
los
pollinize
alimentos,
with
¿no?
one flower. And the
Los
food,
cuales consumimos, ya estuvo la pregunta hecha hace rato, pues que más del 70% de
the
los
question I was
alimentos que
already made that
consumimos
over
son
70% of the
polinizados
food
por
we
abejas.
eat
Abejas, no
is
solo apis, sino todo tipo de
vegetables
abejas, ¿no?
that
Existen
are
obviamente
pollinized by bees, and
algunos
not only apis.
cultivos que no
There are
necesitan
some
de las abejas, especialmente los
crops
granos, ¿no? Como el
that
maíz,
do
el
not
sorgo y otros
require it,
que de alguna
like
forma son importantes
corn
para,
and
para la
sorghum, that are
humanidad,
also
pero también
important for
existen
humanity.
otras que
But we also have
dependen en más del
others that
90%
depend
de la
in
polinización de
over
las abejas, como es la
90% of
calabaza, el chicle, el melón,
pollinization
el maracuyá, la
of
macadamia,
bees,
y otras que
like
pues
pumpkin,
tienen un rango
macadamia, and
intermedio
many
de
more,
dependencia, ¿no? El
and
aguacate y la
others
ciruela, mango,
that
manzana,
have
pues dependen de un 40-80% o 90%,
depend, like
pero pues de alguna
avocado
forma
and
las
apples and
abejas están
others.
contribuyendo
And
a un
bees are
promedio de entre
contributing to
70 a
an average to
75%
70,
a
75%
ofrecernos los alimentos, los
to
frutos, las
offer the
frutas, de los
foods,
cuales
the
depende
fruits
la humanidad para su
from
nutrición
which
y su
humanity
subsistencia, ¿no?
depends
Pues
for
con esto
survival.
cierro de forma muy
With
breve
this,
mi
I would
intervención
like to
porque pues
close.
la plática, el momento de la participación,
mm,
la plática
my
con CLAC es
participation,
corta y somos muchos los participantes, ¿no?
and we're many the
Gracias.
participants. Thank you very much. Very brief, but very interesting. And I keep that data that is
Claro.
not only the apis, and many people probably didn't know, and that there are so many bees and that they are all relevant for the production of our food. Now I would like to go to Mr. Miguel Munguía to talk a little bit about how important it is for the economy to have a beekeeping in our region, and what is that impact or challenge we have in the future to continue sustaining beekeeping as part of our economy? Well, Apiculture is very important for the economy and for many of our producers in fair trade represents a very important income, and they use it as a window to the market because they have other activities for self-consumption. But the bee is a very important activity worldwide, and it is about 600,000 tons of honey uh, traded a year, and 200,000 are adulterated and have mixtures of syrups, and they cannot be considered honeys, but they are considered as such, and the producers are identified. The consumers, we shouldn't hide it. We know that in China is where the greatest amount of adulterated honey is produced, and it is in England where it is the most strongly consumed, and they send it as honey, and they lower the prices, and we have been fighting against honey adulteration, and we have started in alliances in Canada, for example, last year, and we raised our voice. And I believe that there are many advances in the science and the trading where honey has been regulated, especially for doubtful origin. And on climate, climate change is also presenting important challenges. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it rains in excess. This part is representing a challenge, but it's still a very important activity, and we are very enthusiastic because it represents important income for the economy in Latin America. And we go hand in hand with these socially aware consumers that exist in the world. Thank you, Don Miguel, and how important it is what honey we should and what honey we shouldn't consume, and also thinking about what you were mentioning on climate change. I would like to talk with Dalila. Dalila, are you around? I think I saw you coming in.
Gracias, Dalila.
Hi, Dalila.
Bienvenida a esta conversación.
Welcome to this conversation. My name is Dalila Tema. I represent Copiasuro. I'm an associate, and I have 125 beehives right now because climate change has affected us. We see the rain
el doctor que Miguel
in the
Munguía.
summer, like Mr. Munguía was saying that we had too much rain that would affect the production of honey, even in Guatemala. And Dalila, can you tell us some techniques or tools that you're using to adapt to this climate change? What have you learned in this adaptation? Well, we see clearly that Guatemala is a country with great challenges, and climate change is one of the most vulnerable ones among the 10 countries. And in apiculture is much worse. These changes in these last few years has felt worse. One of them is the storms ETA and IOTA that affected us the most. And since then, production has decreased, as well as the amount of bees. that has a great implication. But the changes we have adapted is changing the queen every year to have a better production. And a better production of bees, and also the change of hives that we do to reduce the diseases that we find in the hives, and they are eliminated to renew them. We also have food that we give them depending on the time of the year. Those are the changes we have made because the truth is it has affected us a lot, climate change. Not only that, but the diseases that take over bees, all the types of diseases. For example, the beetle that I hope is going to stay where it is not going to attack us. And we've also been adapting to deforestation. That is something that has damaged us a lot. Deforestation is quite severe. And what we have implemented is planting trees that will benefit the bees, and not only the bees, but us as producers. That's what we have implemented in Guatemala to lower climate change effects in our country. Incredible and very good, Dalila, that people know all the effort that exists behind a bottle of honey, and to know everything you're doing to these to overcome these adverse situations. And here I would like to ask Luis Mondragón, what else can we do when facing what is happening? Bees are decreasing enormously, as Dalila was telling us. What can we do for the bees, and especially to take care of this reproduction? If you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Sí, gracias. Bueno, es una
Yes, thank you.
respuesta muy difícil porque pues,
It
es
is a very
miles de
difficult
factores y
question
de
because
presiones
there's
que existen por
lots of
muchos
pressures
lados, ¿no?
that
Intereses,
exist
empresas y
from
demás.
many
Y
sides
pues si
and
nosotros
interests
revisamos
and
los
enterprises and
porqués
so on. And if we check the
que está
whys
pasando
of what is happening,
este colapso que se le llama a las abejas,
why
pues
this
podemos tal
collapse
vez
is
entender
happening to the bees,
cuáles serían
maybe we
las
can
vías para
understand
tratar
what
de
would be the
atenuar esta
ways
situación, ¿no?
to
Y pues la principal
lower
razón es
the
todo lo
impact
que
of
está
the
existiendo por
situation.
cambio de uso del suelo,
And
¿no?
what is
Lo que era
happening is because of the change of soil
los
use.
cultivos y los
The crops,
campesinos y de producción,
the
digamos, a
peasants,
pequeña escala,
the
se está
farmers,
transformando
small
en todo
scale
lo que es
is being
la
transformed
producción intensiva y
into
extensiva
intensive
de
and
monocultivos
extensive
y con alto
production
uso
of
de insumos
monoculture.
químicos, tanto
And
herbicidas,
with
plaguicidas,
the
y que además vienen acompañados con
chemicals,
paquetes tecnológicos,
plaguicides,
con
and
productos
with
transgénicos
technological
que traen
packages with
sus
transgenic
químicos
products that
para
has
ayudar
its
a
chemicals
producir mejor según
to help
por ejemplo, el caso de la
produce
soya, ¿no?
that
Pero también,
product even better, like the
pues
perfect
el
case
hecho
of soya.
del contacto que
The
existe
fact of
en la
the
humanidad, pues ya ahorita
contact
pues,
that we
podemos ver
have
la
in
situación
humanity,
que
we
nos
can see the
sucedió con el
situation,
COVID, que
what
pues viene
happened with
desde
COVID.
China, pues
It
igual
comes
con
from
las
China,
abejas,
the same with the
pues todo lo
bees.
que existe de enfermedades en un lugar se
Everything that
permea
exists
al resto del mundo por
in
la movilidad
diseases in
que
one
hay entre los
country,
humanos
it
y por lo
permeates
mismo, pues el paso de una
throughout the
enfermedad
world, and the
de un
same
país a otro,
with
pues las abejas
the
son de alguna
animals or
forma
the bees
afectadas. Por
from
ejemplo,
one
está
country to
la
the next.
varroa, el escarabajo que
We
mencionaba la
have
compañera de
the
Copiasuro, y otras enfermedades que tienen las abejas, ¿no? Pero
CLAC,
también de
and
alguna
other
forma
diseases that bees
el
have.
humano ha buscado
But
acotar
the human being has also
la gama genética de las abejas, ¿no?
tried
Al
to
querer tener una
change
especie
the
altamente
genetic
productiva,
of the bees,
entonces toda su
trying to
diversidad
have
genética la ha estado
a bee that
acotando
is
a altos
highly
rendimientos,
productive,
alta
and it
producción, ¿no?
is changing
Nosotros
it
podemos ver
to high
cómo los lugares
performance.
donde hay
And we
mayor
can see
diversidad,
where we have the greatest
no hay tanto
diversity,
colapso, ¿no?
there's not so
Digamos,
much
lugares
collapse.
como en la zona donde están
Places,
los compañeros
for
de
example,
Copiasuro, las zonas
where
tropicales del
the
sur de México,
Copiasuro
en
are,
Chiapas,
or in
donde
Chiapas,
la agricultura es de pequeña
or where
escala y
agriculture is a
existe
small
todavía
scale,
diversidad
and we still have
por ejemplo, los
diversity.
cafetales, donde
For
son cafetales
example,
de
the
sombra.
coffee
Al existir
plantations
diversidad, también
with a
los
shade. When we
apicultores
have a
producen sus propias
diversity,
abejas
the beekeepers
y
can
sin
produce
tener que
their own
introducir
bees and do not
reinas de
need
otros lados
to
altamente
introduce
eficientes, sino pues utilizar lo que
queens
hay en el
that are
ambiente
highly
y
efficient
de esta
from other
forma estar
places,
adaptados a la
and just
diversidad
use
del
what
ambiente y a la
exists in the
y tener
environment and be
abejas también
adapted to
genéticamente
diversity,
diversas, ¿no? No
and
acotar
have
tampoco
bees that are
la gama
genetically
genética de las abejas,
diverse.
sino favorecer las abejas locales y procurar
Favor the local
tener mejores
bees and
abejas,
try
pero
to
pues de
have
la
a better
misma zona,
bees,
de tal
but
forma
of
que
the
estén más
same
adaptadas
area
al
in
ambiente
such
y
a way
sean
that
más
they are
capaces
better adapted
de
to the
resistir
environment
cambios y demás,
and
¿no?
are more
Entonces,
capable
nosotros
to
pues
resist
manejamos
changes.
mucho en estos
So
proyectos que
in
hemos estado
these
trabajando
projects
últimamente,
that
sobre
we
lo que
have
le
been
llamamos una
working
mirada
lately,
agroecológica de las
we
abejas y de
work
su manejo, ¿no? En
in
este sentido,
the
pues hay que ser cuidadosos en todos los sentidos,
care
ver
of
por el
the
bienestar no
bees
solamente
and see for the
del
well-being,
apicultor por
not
producir
only
miel,
of
sino el
the
bienestar de las abejas, que las
beekeeper,
abejas
but
estén
of the
en un lugar que
bees.
les
Make
haga ser
sure
felices, que estén
they are
contentas por
happy
estar donde están, no meterles
and
químicos
not
para que se defiendan
allow
de los parásitos,
to
sino que
have
incluso dejar que ellas
too
mismas
many
de alguna forma
chemicals
sean
against
capaces de defenderse. En
parasites,
algunas
but that
partes
they are
donde he ido
able to
en
defend
Guatemala no
themselves.
utilizan
In
ningún
many
producto
places in
para
Guatemala where I have been,
tratar de controlar
not to
parásitos
use
como varroa,
any
porque tienen esa
chemicals
gama y diversidad genética que
to
no
try
hay en otros
to
lados, ¿no? Pues también buscar el
fight their
bienestar de
diseases
las
because they
familias,
have
el
a
bienestar de las
range that they don't
organizaciones,
have any
el
other
bienestar del
place. Also
ambiente, de
for the
alguna
well-being of
forma,
the families and
cuidar
the
lo que está en
environment,
nuestros alrededores,
take care
favorecer
of what we
la
have
reforestación,
around
no
us,
por introducción de
favor
plantas
forestation,
maravillosas que
not
vienen de
just
otros
the
países
introduction
de
of
Asia o demás, sino las
marvelous
mismas
plants
plantas
that come
que existan
from
en nuestra región,
other
utilizarlas
regions, but the
para
same plants that exist in
reforestar
our
y
region, use them
recuperar
to
ambientes degradados, ¿no?
reforest and
Y pues de alguna
recover the
forma también, pues lo que
environment.
está haciendo la CLAC es
And
favorecer el
what
bienestar de
CLAC
las
is doing
organizaciones,
is
porque
favoring
no
the
solamente
well-being
ve
of the
aspectos
organizations, doesn't
económicos,
only see
de tratar de
economic
luchar por un precio más
aspects,
justo, sino algo
trying
más
to
allá, ¿no? Lo que es
struggle for a
el,
fairer
la
price,
defensa misma de
but
las
also
organizaciones,
for a
del
defense
territorio
of the organizations,
y
the
procurar no
territory,
solamente acotarse
and try
a la apicultura como un sistema
to
productivo
dedicate
e
to
intensivo incluso, sino que deje
apiculture,
ingresos, sino que pues cuidarlo para
not only
cuidarnos a todos,
intensive but
cuidar el
also take
ambiente,
care of
cuidar
it
las organizaciones
while
y
taking
cuidar a
care of
las
the
familias, ¿no?
environment, the
Cambio.
organizations, and our health.
Gracias, don Luis. Y creo que
Thank you,
nos dejaste
Don Luis.
una reflexión
And I think
importante. Es
you left
necesario
us a very
mirar
important
todo el
reflection
ambiente, o sea, no
how
solo
important it
las
is to
abejas
take care of the whole environment,
en
not
su
only the
casa,
bees
sino
where they are,
todo tiene que ver, todo
but
implica
everything
el
is
cuidado del
connected,
ambiente, tiene que ver con las comunidades, con las
has to
familias,
do
con los
with the
entornos.
communities,
Y
the
estaría,
families, what
¿qué
we
más
eat.
podríamos hacer
And along
por
this
los
line,
demás? Y sobre
what
todo
else can
los
we
humanos.
do
Y
as
una pregunta que le quiero
consumers?
hacer a don Miguel
Is
Munguía,
something
¿cómo
that I would like
controlábamos
Don
el
Miguel
súper
Munguía, when we go to the
nuestra compra? ¿Qué
supermarket
nos
with
podría decir para
our
saber si estamos
purchase,
comprando
how can we know
una,
if we are
por qué una miel
buying
orgánica?
a
O por qué
genuine
una
honey?
certificación
Why organic?
ambiental hizo
Why
la diferencia.
a fair
Don Miguel,
trade
si podría
honey would
comentar
make the
sobre eso.
difference? If you can make any comments?
Sí, te escuchamos.
Yes, we can hear you.
Ah, perfecto. Parte de la pregunta no la escuché, pero tiene hacia con el consumidor, ¿verdad?
Didn't hear the complete question, but how can we choose the best honey? How can we make a difference? How can we recognize the genuine honey, and why is it important that it has a certification is and that it is so relevant for the bees and the environment? I believe that in fair trade, a key element and definite element and trust element is precisely the seal. Here we don't sell anything that is not genuine or authentic. We're talking right now about honey, but we can talk about any other product. If you see fair trade, you can trust that it's 100% pure. It is real honey. It's not a mixture of different syrups. Another factor is the certification of organic and fair, that sometimes we combine them. In Latin America, very often in CLAC have the organic certification, and that is another element of authenticity of the honey that gives trust to the consumer. Certifiers are very strong in their internal control to make sure that honey is not adulterated but authentic, and also not to forget the local and individual consumption. If I'm a neighbor of a certain community, my friend is a beekeeper and has his honey, and part of it is sold to the market, but part also sells locally. We should buy from locally because it favors this relationship, this linkage that we have fought for. That is the relationship between the producer and the consumer. Why not buy directly to that beekeeper that I know personally? Yes, the markets are important, but the small consumption from the neighbor also helps. Globally, these volumes are enormous, and most of us sell in these drums, as you can see in the screen. And that's where we add value and is distributed. And so let's buy locally, and that the consumer demands our product, and the sureness and that the organic seal is a guarantee that it is a 100% pure product. And if you buy from your community beekeeper, you can also trust it. And we know of the importance of honey for health, and we saw it with the pandemic. With the pandemic, the consumption of honey increased. That is something very important. But also, and Luis already mentioned it, the role of the bees on pollination. Most of the ones who answered the survey, 70% of the food is pollinized by bees, and they play a very important role. Let's take care of the bees, let's eat honey, and it is a green economy for humanity. Thank you, Don Miguel. Motivating words. I think we're learning so much about honey and bees, and along those lines, I would like to talk again with Dalila precisely on CLAC and fair trade. What fair trade has been doing for the organizations dedicated to honey. And we have a project that is called Honey for the Future, that it is such a noble product that we need to continue pushing it. And Dalila, maybe you can tell us about your experience participating in this group and from your perspective as a woman, as a beekeeper. How has the process been for Honey for the Future? Okay, I can tell you a little bit of my story and how I started with beekeeping. Ever since I was 7 years old, I started helping with the bees. I was helping my father because he started with that project. Sometimes I was helping him, and every time we went to the beehive, he used to say, pay very good attention because one day you will take care of the beehives. And the day came and that because of my father's health, I needed to take care of the bees until today. It has been a motivating experience, as there are some years that are really difficult and unmotivating because we have a very low crops, and one says, oh no, not anymore. But then you say, "Oh, why abandon it when we can continue regardless of climate change?" Because the one who does the work is them. You just go behind their work because they do all the work. I cannot say I produce so many kilos of honey because they produce them, not I. We just harvest it and take care of them during the winter. In my experience in Copiasuro has been very good. And thank you, CLAC, for always allowing me to participate in your projects. In Honey for the Future project, I started working in the climate change adaptation programs that were developed in a department in Guatemala. Producers were meeting and we were exchanging experiences and ideas to see how to face this climate change that is affecting us all, not only in Guatemala, but it's worldwide. This phenomena affects especially the bees because they are the most vulnerable vis-a-vis this situation. I have also participated by CLAC on how to prepare products based on honey, soaps, shampoo, syrups, so we can have an extra income, not only from honey, but with added value products and have an extra earning. Also, I've been trained on manufacture good practices and honey iniquity. It's been a very important part to come out of this difficult situation. Thank you for your support that you have always given us. And this is what I have to say. Well, there's more, but I would need more time. Thank you, Dalila. your testimony has been very interesting because it tells us what it represents to work in the field and in the honey product. And as you say, accompany the work of the bees because they do the work, as you say, that's very nice. And we greet this group from honey for the future, and hopefully we will hear of more experiences that has been key for CLAC and those who participate in it. Now I would like to ask all, whoever wants to answer, this idea that honey contributes to health. It became more widely known with COVID, and we all try to protect our immunity, looking for a way how to better resist the colds and gripe. How is it? How come it is so important for health? And what are the effects? And how should we consume it? Because sometimes we don't know how many times a day I should eat honey. If you want some more information, I'm sure the public would like to know. Whoever would like to share their opinion, Dalila, Don Miguel, Don Luis. I believe that eating honey in Guatemala, we used to consume only one spoonful of honey per inhabitant. The consumption of honey was very low, but through this pandemic we have seen that honey is used much more because it has proteins, vitamins. People have started eating honey, and they are now more aware, especially in climate change, and as if they want to take better care of bees and contribute being more tolerant to them when they get close and not to kill them, not bother them either. I believe that that happened as a result of this problem that has existed in the country. Thank you, Dalila. Maybe Don Miguel, Don Luis would like
Como
to say something.
comentando, a lo que dice Dalila, ¿de dónde vienen siempre
Adding
todas las
to
medicinas y los
what
remedios que usamos
Dalila says,
para curarnos
where
nosotros?
do all the
De alguna forma
medicines
vienen de las
come
plantas,
from?
¿no?
Somehow they
Entonces,
come
¿qué
from
visitan las
plants
abejas para
or
extraer el
nature.
néctar?
And
Pues
what
visitan las plantas. Entonces, de
do
alguna forma
bees
están
visit?
extrayendo
They
la
visit the
esencia de la
plant, so
planta a
they are
través del néctar
extracting
y lo
the
están
essence of the plant
metiendo en
through
su
the
colmena y en
nectar
sus panales,
that they
y
bring
en esa
to
miel viene
their
la esencia
beehive.
del ecosistema, ¿no? De todas las
And
plantas que
there we get
visitaron.
the
Y
essence
pues sí, bueno, la
from the
miel tiene
ecosystem from the
digamos,
different
sus
plants they
calorías
visited.
principalmente vienen por los azúcares de
It has calories
fructosa,
because of
glucosa,
the
pero más allá
sugars,
de esto, de los
but
azúcares, pues
further
tienen
from
contenidos que
the
tienen las
sugars,
mismas plantas y que ofrecen
they have
a
the
través,
same
a los
content that
humanos
the
a través
plant
de las
has
abejas esos beneficios que
and
tienen las
offer
plantas y que
these
nosotros podemos
benefits
aprovechar,
from
¿no?
the plants
Cambio.
that we can also take advantage of.
Solo complementar, Linda, que
Just compliment Linda that one of the strongest properties of honey, what Lila and Luis already said, is also for the skin. In many hospitals, it has been used to cure wounds because of the great amount of vitamin A. How about the fleas are going to come? No, flies, I'm sorry. And in many conferences have told us about healing properties of honey, and also apitherapy and polypropylene endures a great amount of elements for health that if we incorporate it into our habits, it would be a great immune contribution that we needed, especially during this pandemic that has kept us away, and where we are becoming more aware as humans, and it's been acknowledged May 20th as the World Day for the Bees. It used to be an insect with even movies that there was the killing bee, and it is not a killing bee ever. So that humanity acknowledges its importance, helps us take away these fears and give it a right position as a very important insect for the environment. So, let's celebrate this 20th of May as the World Day of the bee. Well, but there is very pretty movies also about bees, how we need to take care of these insects. And I stay with you, Miguel. Also, thank you all the experts that were with us. As I and many people have become very enthusiastic on bees and honey, but we have challenges. We have to do something to take care of them and help the organizations that help them. They take care of them, but they still need our help to continue growing and reproducing themselves. And this documented that CLAC wants to publish. What is it requesting? What are we called to do as a result of this problem that has such an influence on the bees? Well, it asks us to take care of bees and fair trade, and we are in fair trade. We want to take care of fair agriculture, but the whole environment and for health. And we want to make sure that all social and economic actors support fair trade, bio and friendly beekeeping. And that's why CLAC supports this bill of law that is developing in Latin America. In Colombia, for example, there's already a law that protects bees, and that is a very important. There's a very interesting debate in Mexico right now. So we're doing advocacy and to have better policies to respond to the different challenges that some producers have. We need to look for the South market, add a value to apiculture, so conditions can improve, have an environment friendly apiculture, avoiding transgenics. That is one of the threats. Dalila already mentioned it. Deforestation is one threat, together with the use of glyphosate, and that is probably also a cancer producing. Our colleagues, beekeepers in Argentina have fought so much against transgenic and promote genuine honey trading, and it is only necessary that the consumer acknowledges or recognizes our seal, and that way they can know it is genuine and make the population aware. These spaces help us become more aware, and once we hear a bee that is singing us in our ears, let's not try to do anything or get nervous. Just let her alone. Let's not move our hand, and let's just get away from maybe she has her hive. They are basic and they're part of the well-being of the world. So we need to understand the importance of bees of our biodiversity. How important and the role of education, honey for the future, bees for the future, safe communities for the bees that are safe communities for us because it allows us to continue taking care of our health with all the information that you have given us on how important honey is for our health. And it is the core of our concern. And we have in the chat of this Zoom, the positioning of CLAC, we want to thank our allies, partners, cooperatives. I cannot mention all, but from Panama, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, there are several COPs. We also have people from Chile that are with us. Thank you also the colleagues from CLAC who are with us, from Fairtrade International, in the European Union also with CLAC. Thank you for adding yourselves to the celebration. And we ask from these people or organizations, help us share this document, a document that we wanted to be live, not only today, the International Day of Bees, but all the time, and that we are able to share these important things about bees and how important bees are for our lives and the well-being of our planet. Xiomara is also asking whether you can recommend what flowers we can plant in our garden so they will attract bees. Is there any recommendation? And congratulations also that we received from CLAC for this seminar, the importance of being aware about pesticides. I don't know if anybody would like to answer these questions that we received in the chat. The specific flowers have to do with the region. There are honey attracting bees in the southern of Chile is Ulbo. Uruguay, there's a great amount of eucalyptus. In Mesoamerican, Chiapas and Mexico, Guatemala, we have similar flowers. But I believe that what's most recommended is to go to the local beekeepers, ask them what are the best ones. If I come from Yucatan, I'm giving you all the different plants that we have in Yucatan, but probably Dalila is going to tell you about other plants in San Marcos.
Es cierto, también otra de las flores más peculiares por las
That is correct. One of the flowers that
toda la diversidad de flores que
all the
terrestres,
diversity of
no conozco los nombres científicos, pero
flowers,
las llamamos acá, como están
but the names that we
flores
call them,
de esas que se les llaman lirios, están, porque ahí en la abeja
the lilies,
están los otros
for example,
que se llaman limoncillos, acá les decimos eso, no sé qué.
we call them lemons. I don't know what is the scientific,
En el invierno como en el
but
verano.
it blooms
Un arbolito pequeño que se puede tener en el patio de la casa.
the whole year, and it is a small tree that you can have in your house.
Las manzanillas y todo eso
And
que tenemos
we
ahí.
also have
También no
chamomiles.
solo se puede sembrar en, como dijo una cierta persona, ¿va? Que no solamente se puede
And
en el
not
patio de la casa,
only
sino que
can
también en las
we
terrazas,
plant in the patio, but also
que son esas
the balconies
que dan polen a
or
las
the
abejas,
terraces.
una planta de que podemos decir por ahí de manzanilla, ¿va? O
Chamomile, for
que tenemos
example.
aquí, y todas esas plantas son las que las abejas visitan. Casi son variedades, ¿va? Casi
These
todas
are
esas
different varieties.
en la calle o en en un patiecito ahí.
Those small flowers that you see on the street, and they take, although it seems minimal, they take it all.
Los nombres científicos. Así que no te
Thank you,
preocupes.
Dalila. We don't know the scientific word. So if you say rose and chamomile, that helps us a lot. Luis, do you have any recommendation for
Bueno, pues
those of
ahora sí
us
que
who
como dice
want
Miguel,
to
en
have a
cada región
friendly
existe
garden?
un tipo de
Well,
diversidad
as Miguel
y la
says,
diversidad es
let's
diferente en
look for
cada
the
ambiente, ¿no? En cada
different
región. Yo
biodiversity
les
depending on
recomendaría
the region. I
con los
would
vecinos, con los
recommend
apicultores,
that
saber
you
cuáles
go
son
to
las
the
mejores
neighbors,
plantas. Incluso hay un comentario en
your
el chat, ¿no? de
neighbor
Mauro Navarro, donde dice que luego las hierbas naturales compiten
beekeeper,
con los cultivos y son consideradas
and
malezas, ¿no? A veces
they
muchas de estas que
might
le llaman malas
compete with the
hierbas,
different crops,
precisamente
and those
son
that
parte
are
de la
called
diversidad del
weeds,
ambiente
they
y
are very
parte de
often
las
part of
flores que
the
le brindan a las
biodiversity
abejas
and part
alimento, ¿no?
of
En
the
México es muy
flowers
conocido
that
lo
give
que se le
food
llama milpa,
to the
que es
bees.
el maíz
In
que lo
Mexico,
producen
we have the
principalmente los pequeños
milpa,
productores, los
that
campesinos,
is the
maíz
small
intercalado con
corn
frijol, con
plantation
calabaza, pero
together
aparte dejan
with
que crezcan otras hierbitas como la
beans
hierbabuena
and
y el
pumpkin,
quelite,
and they
que son
let
aparentemente malas hierbas, pero que son muy útiles para las abejas, y no
spearmint
solamente para las abejas, sino que son también
and
especies
other
especias para los alimentos, ¿no? Que le dan sabores y que
species
enriquecen los platillos, ¿no?
that
Entonces,
are
estas
good
malas
for the
hierbas, pues
bees,
no
and they are also
llamarlas así
used
como
in
al verse su maleza, sino que
different
identificar cuáles de estas, pues es como esto, lo que
foods.
decías, la abeja
So
africana y la abeja
we see
asesina, pues
how
malas
it
hierbas, pues
can.
cuáles malas hierbas, son abejas
These are
diversidad del
not
ambiente que
weeds. This
ofrecen
is a
alimento a las
diversity of
abejas
the
y que le
environment
pasan ese
that give
alimento a los humanos a
food
través de la miel
to
que producen, ¿no? Cambio.
the bees, and afterwards it is given to the humans. Interesting. Something else that we can know about the certified honey, and we need to take care of our gardens and the biodiversity. In the south, Paraguay and Argentina, I'm going to ask Norberto, he probably knows. And I would like to thank Dalila for your time, Don Miguel also, and Don Luis Mondragón for this space. I believe it has been a very entertaining talk. We have learned a lot, and what's most important is we have an advocacy instrument that this is this declaration in positioning that it becomes, hopefully it will become
para
a
seguir difundiendo lo importante que
public
son las
document and you
organizaciones
take
ambientales, cómo
ownership,
son las organizaciones
and
de
how
pequeños
important
productoras
honey
para
and
seguir
bees
cuidando del medio
are.
ambiente y de las personas. Unas palabras finales para cerrar esta
One
sesión.
last
Las
words
Dalila,
to
empezamos con
close
usted.
this meeting. Dalila, shall we start with you?
Simplemente agradecerles
Just thank you
permitirme un espacio en
for
sus
allowing me
agendas.
some of your
Gracias
time in your agendas.
por esta invitación que
Thank you for the invitation
para compartir un poco de las experiencias que
to share
he vivido como
a little bit of the
copiación.
experiences I have lived as a part of Copiasuro.
La organización de CLAC en la que nos está apoyando en este momento.
And something that I can say about CLAC is that the certification of organic honey. We already have the certification also.
Las buenas prácticas para poder
And
producir
in the process to produce
muchísimas
it,
gracias a ellos por
thank you very much
toda la
again
ayuda y que nos han brindado
for
y,
your help.
y espero que nos sigan también apoyando.
And I hope you
Ya sea
continue
con
supporting us
capacitaciones o
with trainings
ya que en estos momentos no se puede hacerlo en conjunto
that cannot be done right now personally, but with documents, how to keep our beehives and adapting to climate change. Just thank you and hope you continue forward with the organization where you are working and that your work crosses borders and countries. Thank you.
Bueno, pues de mi parte también
Well,
agradecer a
on my side,
compañeros de la
also
CLAC la invitación, a
thank
Norberto
the
que me
colleagues
contactó
from
para
CLAC for the
participar en
invitation,
este Día de las Abejas
Norberto,
con la CLAC. Y pues
that you invited me to
esperar verlos
participate,
pronto con los
and
compañeros
hope
de
to see you
Copiasur, los
soon.
compañeros de Guayap, incluso,
The
¿por qué
colleagues
no
from
en
Copiasuro,
Argentina
Guayac, and why
con
not
compañeros de
Argentina?
las diversas organizaciones
The
que
colleagues
están
from
allá?
the different
Pues esperemos que
organizations there.
pronto pase toda esta situación
Hopefully this
extraña y
situation is
anómala
going
que no
to
nos
be
permite
over.
pues movernos tanto como para podernos
That does not allow us to
volver
move
a
that
saludar
much,
y a platicar y a compartir
to greet
de
each
forma
other and
presencial y
share
física, ¿no? Que es creo que lo que está
personally.
faltando ya para que de
That
nueva
is
cuenta
what
regresemos
is missing,
a compartir nuestras experiencias, ¿no? Cambio.
so we can share our experiences. Thank you. On my side, let's celebrate. Today is the day of the bees, the day of the honey and health. Let's stay together to defend the bees diversity. Our CLAC has been witness of unity to protect apiculture in the environment. Let's use and why not drink honey? Let's also take a glass of honey wine. Congratulations. Thank you to the ones that connected from far away, all the panelists, and CLAC for the organization of this event. Thank you very much. Thank you for those who were in the chat, those who have shared with us, and that you will take that glass of honey wine, and we will contribute because it is so important for the planet and for the persons. And we will meet again to share these spaces that fill us with life and hope. See you soon.